Oh, precious is that flow that makes me white as snow. No other fount I know, nothing but the blood of Jesus. You have a song that just takes you right back to what it's all about. That for me is that song, Nothing But the Blood. It's an old hymn. Good morning. Welcome to the Daily Dose. My name is Andrew Polfer. I'm one of the worship leaders here on staff. So, of course, you're going to probably hear this through a lens of a worship leader today. But I am so glad that you're joining us today because it is Holy Week, and I've been asked to talk about the blood of Jesus. And it reminded me of this question that was asked to one of my favorite worship leaders. Her name is Brooke Litterwood. I'm not sure how to say her last name, but she wrote What a Beautiful Name and wrote King of Kings. And the interviewer asked her, whenever you sing so passionately. What is that fuels that passion for you? And she answered something that was so provoking to me. She said, I remember my BC life, my before Christ life. And the metallic taste of the emptiness of that life reminds her to be so passionate, to be grateful, to remember what God has done for her. And so I asked that question to myself. I said, what is it that fuels my worship? And it's two things. The first thing is I believe in the presence of a living God who is moving and working inside of the spaces that we invite him into. I believe that God dwells in the praises of his people. And second, I remember the blood. And I remember my BC life. I remember what I was like before Jesus saved me. And from that place, without shame, I come with full gratefulness to sing with thankfulness and to remember the generosity that Jesus has shown me. Now, we're talking about the blood today, which is something that might be a little intense sounding, but this is our religion. The Old Testament talks about this. In Leviticus 17:11, it says, for the life of the body is in its blood. I've given you the blood on the altar to purify you, making you right with the Lord. It is the blood given in exchange for a life that makes purification possible. In the Old Testament, these were done with sacrificial animals. These sacrifices were brought before a priest, and they were burnt offerings, and it would purify the people. And to think about how difficult it was to have relationship with God in that time is something that really creates this gratefulness. To think of all the curtains we read in the Old Testament and the priests that had to go on our behalf. But Jesus, the higher priest, the one who made it possible to know him and to have a relationship with him, has become that sacrifice for us. His blood has atoned us. Hebrews 9:14 says, how much more will the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without blemish to God, purify our conscience from dead works to serve the living God? So Jesus is our invitation. Jesus is our atonement. He's the one who clears the conscience. He is the one that purifies us from all unrighteousness, and it is his blood that sets us free, his blood that cleanses us. So I want to encourage you, whenever you worship, what is your fuel? Are you reminded that God, who is just as holy as he was in the Old Testament with the difficult access that we had, just as holy, just as good, just as awesome and powerful, has become possible for us to access him through himself? We now have a right to be in his presence. And that is just something that is so beautiful to me. We have been saved by the blood of Jesus. A just as holy God has made us right in his eyes by the blood that was shed on your and my behalf. God bless you. Happy Easter.